question for you. Have you come close to rage quitting a band? And if so, what was the reason for this?
A band that I've been in?
Yeah.
Probably Borders, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Specifically rage quitting, though, is the...
Oh, yeah. It's... I don't know. It's... The actual band bit, fine. Like, playing music, writing music together, that bit's great. Like... But the rest of the time, you juggling everyone's emotions between 4 people. You're essentially in a relationship with 3 other dudes that I've been in for like 8, 9 years now, trying to keep everyone happy all at the same time and fit around everyone's needs and lifestyles and stuff like that. And obviously, like on tour, I like my own space, like very much lone wolf, like my own space. But obviously on tour, that's really hard. So I would normally like get up early in the morning, like early. I don't sleep very much, but I would get up earlier than other people and like have a wander just to have a little bit of time on my own. But if I don't have that for a few days at a time, then just like the tiniest little bits. Like it seems really stupid to think that I was going to rage quit the band over stupid stuff. But just like Geordie just leaves socks everywhere. I don't know why that annoys me so much. Everywhere, like literally everywhere. Every room that he's ever in, the van, venues, stage. I literally found one on stage once. Just a loose sock was on the stage when we were playing. It was horrible.
How many socks does he?
Well, you would think he'd have no socks left, but has a plethora of socks at his disposal at all times. Apparently, yeah. I don't know. It's just we wind each other up, like we do. We just do. We just we've known each other a long time. We know. I think when everyone gets a bit frustrated, because like touring is really fun, but there are times when you're like, oh, I wish I was at home. You know, like you've been out for a few weeks and you're just like, I've not slept. I've been sleeping, especially when we were in Europe, sleeping in a van every night. Stupid shit. Like Geordie, one morning, we were in Switzerland and it was freezing cold. And he got out of the van at like 5 a.m. to go and have a piss. Stepped in dog shit. Oh. Came straight back in the van at 5 a.m. Oh. So you're in Switzerland, 5 a.m, freezing cold, just like, fuck me. It smells like shit. What the fuck is that? And we'd like get up and Geordie's like, oh, sorry, mate. I didn't know that happened. He's like traipsed it all through the van and we all had to get out. That point, I was like, I want to fucking get out of this band. Yeah, there's heaps of stories of us just doing stupid shit because we're just 4, I don't know, really goofy fucking weird dudes. Like, so I'm sure I piss the rest of them off as well. But then we play a show and everything just gets forgotten. The whole day of just nonsense crap between us. You play one good show and it's like, oh my God, I love being in a band. And then cycle continues and it never ends. So.
Yeah. Well, at least if you've got that awareness, if you're like, I'm sure I piss off the other guys too. At least if you all know, you know. Yeah. It's like a shared awareness that like, at least I know I piss everyone off too. Like, you know, otherwise things could get really unhealthy.
But when you first start the like tours and things like that, especially when you're touring with other bands, everyone's always really hyper aware of what they're doing the first few weeks because no one wants to piss off the other bands and like you're all being really conservative and like nice, and then like slowly standards slip. Yeah, so sometimes tour etiquette just gets bent a little bit. And yeah, by that point, just the combination of just loads of lack of sleep and missing home, and then you're just like, oh, Geordie's traipsed shit into the van. Oh, it's just things like that. Just they just get under my skin. But yeah, I'm sure I do loads of stuff. Like last night, I'm the only person that drives in the UK for us, so I'm the one who's always driving. And last night we had to drive back from Newcastle, and everyone else was asleep. But I was also really tired because I've been ill this whole tour. So I was like, I'll fall asleep if I don't have music on, like loud. So the other 3 were getting really pissed off. No one said anything to me yet. They'll probably watch this and be like, yes, we were really pissed off. But because I'm driving, they can't say anything. But they were definitely trying to sleep. And I was cranking like house music, like as if I'm clubbing or something. I'm sure they were really, really pissed off.
I reserve Red Bull for, and also I feel your pain because with my old band, until like the last 6 months, I was the only driver for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And bear in mind, like I have a Volkswagen Golf. Like, you know, it's not like I don't have like some big like Rolls Royce or like Range Rover or something. You know, like so. Yeah, it was interesting getting everyone into my. I previously had a Polo, which is even smaller, and it was an old one as well. And getting everyone into the back of the hatchback.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, and I was the only, and yeah, the Mike learned to drive, but then he lives kind of in Telford, and we all live in Birmingham, so it's like a bit of
hassle logistically,
really as it is. He's a drummer, so like he could. It was, if anyone could learn to drive, fortunately, the guy.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah,
carry around is I think what you kind of sort of like touched on a couple of things. Kind of in a more light-hearted way, but you were talking about sort of all of the sort of little sort of niggles and things that annoy you in the tour and that, but then you get on stage and it's like, oh, this is this is like why you do it, you know, this is the excitement, this is like makes it all kind of work. There's kind of there's two things. So I remember I was looking through. I always do a bit of a deep dive into the old Instagram to see.
You mean a stalk? You were stalking?
No, I had a non-intrusive look through.
Feels pretty intrusive, but all right.
That's in the public domain. Free. See, I could be anyone. Anyway, yeah. So call it what you like. I had a stalk, but you were talking about. I think Jesus was a stalk. 'Cause I think this post might have been even a couple of years old.
Was this at 3 a.m.? You accidentally liked my profile picture from 2016.
Well, I've got an excuse. This is what I'm just going to tell anyone that I stalk now. I'm going to have to get them on the podcast. Just be like, oh, stalking. I wanted you on the podcast. Just be some random person. But yeah, you talked about. Sorry, this is getting a bit of a change of like.
Yeah, go for it.
You're talking about sort of struggling with motivation for music, right? And feeling like a sense of I can't remember exactly when it was particularly, but I remember you saying you'd seen friends kind of give up on music at the time. And what do you think it is that kind of helps you to carry on when? Yeah, because it's obviously been a really rough, like, for everyone, not just musicians, but it's been a really rough few years. And it's like, even though technically the pandemic's kind of as over as it's going to be, I think, there's still loads. We're now cost of living, there's all these things going on. What do you think? Is it that feeling on stage that's kept you going, or is it something else?
I think just like before Corona, we'd obviously released the album, and that was like May 19. So like that whole year was going really well. We were getting like we toured with For the Fallen Dreams, like Oh Sleeper was supposed to come over in the December, and like we'd got a load of stuff planned for 2020. And then obviously when it all stopped, we didn't want to just keep posting relentlessly online, because we didn't have anything to really talk about. We didn't have anything to say. There's only so many times you'd be like, did you see our music video that we released? There's only so many times you could do that without pissing people off. So I think a lot of the traction died down. But I think for me, like, I like writing music. I obviously like writing music, but I like writing music because when I do write it, it's already going through my head what it'll be like to play it to people, and it's that reaction part of it. Like, I don't think I would, if we didn't play live or if I didn't release music, I don't think I would get the same gratification of writing something. I don't think I would write something anymore. Just maybe if like the band stopped, it'd be different. I don't know, but I think at the moment I don't think I get the same gratification from just writing stuff. And I was writing stuff for such a long time, and no one had heard it, and no one so I didn't get any of that feedback. And like it's the same as when you're playing live, you're feeding off the audience. If the audience is going crazy, like it doesn't matter how tired you are, how hungover you are, how ill you are, you're going for it. You're like, where is this energy coming from? I don't understand.
Definitely know that, yeah.
And that's the same for me when I release music. I like I'm so lame. I'll sit and watch the Spotify numbers all like, oh my God, we're getting something. Because it's, I don't know, it's like cracked me or something. I don't know. So we're without that for such a long time. I could see why. I don't know whether everyone thinks about it the same way as I do when they write music, but I just it was sad to see so many bands that we'd toured with and played with for years. They're all just, as soon as you're out of the game, because it does feel like, even for us, it feels like you're starting from a much lower rung of the ladder than you were before, because everyone's traction has died down because no one did anything for such a long time. So it is hard. I know, like, and everyone times flies by like so fast. And then suddenly everyone's like, oh, well, I need to settle down and have kids and all this other stuff. And just feeling like they don't want to start a few years before where they were again. Because it is hard. It's hard on your relationships and your home life, and financially is crippling all the time. So I can see it, like, as soon as you're out of it, I think it is hard to get back in. Even for us, like this tour that we're on at the minute, it's been hard. Like, apart from the fact that I'm ill and whatever, and losing our voices, and it's just going from no tours for 3 years nearly to suddenly doing a 2.5 week one. It's just hard on your mind. Like, it just is. Like, I've not been away. I've not been on holiday. I haven't been away from home, like, for more than a few days at a time for like years, which is crazy, like, to think about, because I used to not be at home very much. And yeah, it is. It's hard. Like, I know we've got a day off today, and I can feel like the relief of everyone, because everyone's just needs, and like, everyone on the touring party is so nice. So, but like, Dropout Kings is so positive and so fun to be around. But it is hard. It's just hard on your mind. Just going from, like, I've always struggled with going on tour because I like my own space. Like a home bird. Like, I love touring, but like, I get excited to go home and just, I don't know, see my dog and go back to work and deliver some pizza. Like, see everyone at work and stuff like that. Yeah, it is hard, but yeah, I think the only thing that really kept me going was that the writing process changed when we were writing this next album, this next bunch of songs and stuff like that, because we had to change how we were doing it. We had to. There was no option of doing it, so we'd end up having, we're gonna book a few days in a little Airbnb. That we just booked one that has no surrounding thing, so we can make loads of noise, and we would just go and write some songs together in a room. Crazy. Like, we wouldn't be playing, we'd all be sat around the laptop and making beats and recording just vocal bits all the time. But we've never done that before. It's mostly just been, I wrote loads of riffs, and then we'd go over them, and then we'd write all the vocals and record them. Job's good. But this time, just because through necessity, it would had to be like that. We just I would lose motivation, because it would, so much time had passed without playing a show, without that shot of endorphin of, oh, this is why we do this. Because it's hard. It's a lot of time out of you. Like, I'm sure you know, like, writing music is not like a fast. I mean, so like, for some songs just fly out. You might start a song, like, bang, 2 hours later, you're like, cool. It's like a almost fully formed song has come out, but then other ones take months. So writing full length albums and things like this, and obviously, like, yeah, there's going to be 10 tracks on this album, but I probably wrote like 40 songs. And then yeah, that's hard as well. It's like seeing 30 songs that you spent months and months on, just throw them in a bin. It's like, it's soul destroying. But yeah, the guys have all been super supportive, like, because we've all got our issues and whatever, and especially like I think everyone's, like, just everyone in general, everyone's like mental health issues and things like that. Just, as soon as you're locked in your house and you can't do anything, like, it just cranks it up to 11, and everyone was just everyone was having such a horrible time. And yeah, it just the boys were the only ones that really were like, we just kept each other going, because we knew that we'd written some songs that we were really proud of, and we're like, I think this is gonna do really well. But then we still had to wait like a year and a half to still put them out. But just knowing that you sat on some songs that you think are gonna do really well, I think and having that collective excitement, I think that's the only thing that kept us going.
Yeah, it's tricky when I definitely know that feeling of sitting on music when, like, for whatever reason, be it like financial, just to get in the studio, or if it's just like to do with cycles of things. And yeah, I remember like when we put out an EP, we were just, well, we probably didn't think of far enough ahead sort of in advance, so we were kind of doing a lot of things as and when. So it'd be like, press campaign, okay, let's sort that. This was all like after we'd finished recording, you know. It was just I remember we sat around with these songs, like, these are really good songs, for ages. And yeah, I think the thing that how do you balance kind of, so or well, I don't know what the answer, I don't know if you have an answer to this, but I'm interested to hear what you think, in terms of, you know, getting that release out of playing the shows or putting the music out. Obviously it's you want to love those things, because they're like, it's in terms of being a musician, those are the things, the highs, the exciting moments is a big part of why you do it. How do you balance, obviously you know, you can't rely on them for your core, like, mental health, happiness, stability, because you don't know when they're going to happen, and B, they can be very fleeting. You know, you can play a live show and absolutely love it, but then the next day it's like, yeah, you might still have that hangover, the good sort of happy hangover of, oh, that was awesome. But obviously that doesn't last forever. And like, how do you kind of balance that, like, keeping yourself like mentally in check, and not relying, or do you find that you rely too heavily on the kind of the highs and stuff? For the record, I'm not being critical if you do, because like, I think so many musicians, and I'm sure there are plenty of artists and creatives that rely on that kind of thing to keep them going. I guess the question is like, I don't know what the question is.
I think I definitely, I didn't think I relied on them as much as I did until they stopped. And then, like, I know it's like, oh, you don't know what you got until it's gone and whatever, but like, that was rough. Like, because we'd had like such a hot year in 2019, just to stop dead and then not have any of it. Yeah, I realized how much my mental health relied on that fix. And yeah, definitely had some real dark times during Rona. And yeah, it's I think I know, like, Corona was like, still is, like, but all of lockdowns and things like that were horrific. But I think it did force us to, I don't know, maybe reevaluate like how to deal with not having that. Like, because I did have some horrible times and whatever, but like by the end, like now, I don't feel like I have to have shows when we're not on tour. I have found other ways to I don't know, feel that enjoyment or whatever, without just solely relying on going and playing shows, which is also horrible, because sometimes you get really amped for a show that you think is going to be a really good one, and then it's not a good one, and then that's even worse. That's even worse than not playing a show. You might as well have just stayed at home. I'm so deflated. And now I have to drive 4 hours to get home. Yeah, those ones are rough.
Yeah, well, because I think the whole thing is with music, like, anyone that's passionate about it, anyone that gets to any level really above just like kind of, you know, local band, if you like, just kind of doing the local stuff, and that even, I wouldn't even devalue them necessarily, but anyone that puts time and effort into the music to then be sort of, I don't want to say rejected, but like to not receive what you sort of almost selfishly sometimes feel you deserve from putting your music out there. I know for a fact when we put our music out there, it got a good response, like we got Kerrang and some of the publications, and we got a few listeners, but it never got on any of the playlists or anything, not the big ones anyway, not on Spotify, and those kind of things. So it never quite got the exposure we were hoping it would, and we were really proud of it. And I think that was quite a deflating thing in that, like, we weren't expecting to get millions of plays, but like, I think one broke 10,000 just about, but like, it's all relative, isn't it? Because like some people, I think. I don't know. They sort of say, I think they say like comparison is the thing. Or is that it? Is it comparison?
Yeah.
One of those. But I probably should get that quote right if I'm going to use it. But I think it's so easy as a musician to compare what you're doing with not even necessarily someone else, just like what you expect. You should almost feel like you should be getting from it. And I think it's really difficult to avoid that feeling. I hate saying if I feel like I deserve something. I hate even feeling that. Not in a bad way. I don't mean the way that I just don't deserve anything. I mean that feeling of deserving something I find is because it matters so much to us as musicians, this stuff. It's easy to feel like almost like you kind of, I deserve this place, and then if you don't get it, it's almost like nothing makes you happy except getting that.
Yeah.
It's quite tricky to avoid that, I think.
Yes, it's definitely like you're saying about the Spotify numbers and things like that. Like people fixate on those numbers so hard. Like I know I've been guilty of it. Like, I know I like looking at the Spotify numbers and it does excite me and stuff. But yeah, like you said, it's all relative. Like every band, like even like right up to, like even like big bands, like to us. Like there'll be some like local bands or like some dad rock I play cover bands, but they have a wicked time. Like, so who cares? Like if they're not on Spotify and they're not doing anything, as long as you play music and you enjoy it. Like even when we watch opening bands or support bands and stuff, like obviously not everyone is great. But I also like if I see them enjoying it, even if they're playing terribly, like which we've seen a few, but if they're having a good time. Like if they're like visually looking like they're having a good time, and I'm like, well, who the fuck cares? Because they're having a wicked time. I don't care if they've not got any Spotify listeners. I don't care if we've got any Spotify listeners. Like our Spotify listeners fluctuate so hard sometimes. But yeah, it's all relative. Like I'm really proud of all the stuff that we've done, but we're not a big band. Like we've not broke anything or like broke out or anything like that yet, or like we probably never will. I don't know. We might do. But if we don't, like it's still, like we've played in like 14 different countries or something mental. And I never, and that's just for me playing some guitar. That's mental. But I'm sure that like where I would probably like relatively like, oh, well, that band is small compared to us. There's a bazillion bands that are loads bigger than us that are just going to look at us and be like, I don't know who the fuck they are. But we're still having a wicked time when we're out on tour. I think it's just, people get fixated on all the numbers and things like that. As long as you're going out and you're doing your best at shows and you're having fun, and if you can make other people have fun when you're at shows, then that's even better. But yeah, I don't think all the numbers and statistics and stuff like that. Like I'm not that guy. Like there's different people in our band that do different things, and I'm more on the art side. I'm like, I like writing stuff, I like the merch stuff, I like anything like visual and like things like that. But like if you ask me to like email a promoter, I'm like, it's not my bag. How many tickets are sold on this? What's this statistic? Have you sorted out the Google Pixel? I'm like, no, I don't want to do any of that. Like that.
Put on a voice a bit closer to mine when you start.
Yeah. Yeah, I just that's just not my jam, because I like, even if this band ended and it was just like nothing, I think I would still get the gratification. Like I've played in cover bands and wedding bands and whatever. I'm playing some like Bruno Mars crap at someone's wedding and everyone's having a good time. It doesn't matter that I didn't write it. Like you're playing music for other people to have enjoyment, and you're having fun because they're having fun, and they're having fun because you're having fun. Like that, I think that's the more important bit than all the statistics and whose band's bigger and fucking dick measuring contests that everyone has about who's headlining and all that crap. It's just rubbish. It's garbage.
Yeah, I think what was it? Oh, I had something, and then you talked about dick measuring contest.
It threw you off. Sorry.
What was I? I'm sure it was really important. I can't remember. This happens all the time. I literally will have like, what happens is, especially if we talk, if you talk for a couple of minutes on one thing, then sort of merge into the next topic.
I do that all the time. I waffle. I'm a waffler. I'm sorry.
Everyone waffles and then asks if it's okay that they're waffling. I'm like,
you'll crop all that out.
If anything, it makes if anything, it makes this way easier for me. So yeah. Oh god. Well, who knows what I was going to talk about? But I think what was quite what was quite sort of important that you talked about a second ago when you said that the sort of the guys in the band, you're all sort of there for each other. I think the sort of sense of community I feel like there's a decent sense of community among like the UK kind of metal scene. I kind of, there's a lot of bands that I know of but don't know, but it feels like there's a good sense of, I always see like the same names popping up. And sort of people sharing things. There's a lot of names where when you know someone's name and full well they have no clue who you are, but you just see these names. And I feel like there's a decent sense of community, and I hopefully that will continue. And it feels like that might be part of what helps the scene kind of continue even through the more difficult kind of things like COVID and all that. Have you found it's been like a good sense of community, or do you find there are like gatekeepers and any of this stuff, or does it feel fairly open and like?
I think it's much better now than it was even like before Rona, because like I think everyone wants to, like, everyone is competitive, and like I got like, I know I'm saying like, oh, it's a dick measuring contest, but like I don't mind about headlining or like who's bigger than who. That doesn't bother me at all, as long as everyone's having a good time and everyone's releasing music and people are enjoying it, whatever. But I think before Rona, because there were so many bands, especially at like our level or a bit higher, there was so much going on, and everyone was really competitive. And I think there was a few like gatekeeping things, and just the people were a bit too competitive, and like they wouldn't help each other out as much as they do now. And I think the rug was pulled out from everyone, and everyone was like, oh, holy shit, like, if we could all go down here, like, and so many people did, that now, like the amount of people that we've seen at all these shows, even just on this tour, the amount of people from other bands that we know that we've gone and seen, and like when I was at Tech Fest, I like spoke to a few people, and like just seeing those people come to the shows, and like me and Geordie have I'll travel to go and see other people's shows, and I might not have done that before, because it was just like, you thought it would never end. There was never stopping live music. That would never end. I could see them the next time. But now, because the rug was pulled out for so long, I think the importance of that community bit is like been heightened so much that I think everyone is much more supportive, and the crop of bands that are around our size or bigger or whatever that are starting to break through, I think they are, I don't know, just everyone just knows how important the rest of the scene is to us, because everyone's trying to build that music scene back up, because no show is quite as busy as it was before. Like there's still loads of drop off where people buy tickets and they don't turn up because they're either ill or they're worried about getting ill, or they've got corona and they don't want to go and make other people ill and stuff like that. So it's still being rebuilt all the time. And I think everyone knows that. So everyone is hyper supportive of everyone else, which is loads nicer, like much, much nicer. And yeah, I think everyone's been in the same boat where everyone's mental health's been pushed to the brink of no return at points. And everyone knows how hard it is and how hard they struggled. So no one wants to make everyone else feel shit. Like, why would you want to make everyone else feel shit when you're trying to fucking beat them all the time? So yeah, just going to everyone else's shows and things like that, and buying other people's merch and them coming to our shows and stuff like that. It's just nice. It is just nice, and especially on this tour when yeah, it has been hard, like mentally for a fair few of us. And Dropout Kings have been on tour for a long time, and they're missing home as well. So to see those like familiar faces, isn't that? I know you always want new fans and stuff like that, but when you do turn up to a show and there's just someone that you know, and you go up and have a hug with them, and like those bits, like they keep you going as well. Like really.
Yeah, it's kind of I realise the more people I talk to on the podcast, I think I probably talked to like 30 something by now. I don't know. I have got a track, but well, I suppose by episode count. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people, because I've talked to people in varying degrees of sort of popularity. I don't want to say success, you can define that however you want, but in terms of pure, listenership and followers and all that. Talk to people in varying sort of ends of the spectrum in that degree, and it feels like everyone has the same sort of feelings towards a lot of these things. They kind of just have a shared sense of wanting to enjoy it and make something of their passion, and kind of that's it. Like that's the important thing, and it kind of there's loads of bullshit that can get in the way, and I think it's easy to look from the outside in and sort of be quite cynical and see people that are being successful and sort of be jealous or this, that, and the other. But actually, I think everyone's just looking for the same kind of thing, and the more I talk to people like yourself, you kind of realise that everyone's just. It's more positive, I think, than it may look from the outside in.
Yeah.
Of course, there are negative people around, but when you talked about the time off in COVID and that, did that affect your productivity in terms of creating? Like, did you feel more creative or less? Or because I know, so the reason I ask is I know that when COVID struck, I was kind of like, I was more productive in some things and far less in others. So like. I got fit kind of for the first time in a while. Like I was never desperately unfit, but like I was kind of, like I was sort of in shape enough, but I was never like particularly healthy, like cardio wise. I couldn't run for the life of me. So I think my base fitness is way better now than it was, like as sort of COVID hit. I was quite fortunate because my parents live in the middle of the countryside, and there was that heat wave when, well, not heat wave, but just like, warm like couple of months at the beginning of the pandemic. So I was like, I'm just going to get fit, and I started just with small amounts of exercise, got fitter, and by the time I went back up to Birmingham where I am now, I was kind of in much better shape. And I've been on and off a bit, but I think my base fitness is better than it was then. But I found with music, I found my productivity and creativity kind of lacked quite a lot. I don't know what the reason for that was. I mean, it's pretty obvious as a pandemic, but I don't know specifically why that happened to me. The passion never went, but it's just the actual, like, in the moment motivation to do it, particularly with writing more so than actually practicing. And I found now I almost get a bit nervy when I start writing stuff, because it's like, oh, is this going to be as good as what I wrote before? And you start having these like negative kind of cycles of, oh, I'm not going to write anything any good because I've not written anything for a while, and then because you've not written anything for a while, you don't write anything good, and then you don't write anything good, so you worry about it, and can you relate to that at all?
Oh, absolutely. I think at the very start of lockdown, because I didn't get furloughed. Like I only work at Domino's. I just deliver pizza all the time. Like, but they've been really nice. I've been in and out of Domino's, but like they've always been really kind to me. And I've done Borders and Martyr Defiled both at the same time. Like when both of us were touring, and they would always allow me the time off, and like never give me any hassle about it. And they've always been really nice to me. So I've always stayed and been loyal to them and whatever. But when I wasn't at work, I know everyone just drank a bit more, but that first bit, I was still writing because I was like, oh wow, I've got all this time. Like it'll only be like a month, 2 months. I've got all this free time. I can't go out. I can't do anything. I've got none of these other distractions. When I'm not at work, I can't go outside. So all I've got to do, I don't have a partner or anything. So I was like, all right, all I've got to do is write music. Great. But then it just went slowly downhill, because when I wasn't at work, and you're like, well, I'm not allowed to drive anywhere today. I know it's 10 a.m., but I might as well just start drinking. Like, there's nothing else to do. And I would just end up just getting a bit trashed. So I would write music and I'd be like, oh, that was sick. Listen to it the next day, I was like, trash, delete it. It was like that for a little while. Yeah, the writing something and thinking like, because when you do write something that you know is good or like a really cool riff or whatever, I don't know about you, I just listen to it on repeat and like, I get so pumped about it.
I've literally told people on the podcast how much I do that. And they were like, you do what?
Oh yeah, no shame. Like I do it, like crank it full blast. My neighbours must hate me. But yeah, but like when you do that and you're like, because you know you've hit something, you're like, yes, that's good. But then when you don't do that for a while, or like when you've released a body of music, then you're like, I don't know whether I could ever write something better than that. And like you always want to be on the incline. You always want to be writing better than you did before. So when you feel like you can't do that, yeah, it's terrifying. I get it all the time. I'll go for like months and months where I'm like I haven't written anything now in a couple of months. I know we've been doing stuff and doing videos and the releases and stuff like that, so I've not really had that much time. I think I go in like I need to be in like a mental headspace of like, I am writing now, and I'll just like solidly write all the time, and then we'll pick out the good ones and we'll go through them and rip them apart and redo them and stuff. But yeah, it's I can't remember what I was saying now. What was I on about?
It's about kind of getting nervous about writing stuff.
Oh yeah.
I haven't done it for a while.
Yeah, I used to get it all the time after we'd written Purify, and I was like, oh yeah, that was really good because it had done considerably better than the previous stuff. I was like, oh well, that's really good. But then yeah, the fear of not being able to, I think that's more what it is for me. It's not that it's like a lack of faith in myself or so. It's just the fear that people won't like it as much as the stuff that I did before. Because you always want to be on the incline, because I've seen too many bands hit that peak like really early, and then they're always on a decline because they never hit that peak again and stuff. And then their motivation, you can see it from the outside that their motivation dwindles because they've hit that really high peak and they never quite live up to what people want them to be again. And I've loved bands before and they've never quite lived up to my expectation. I know I'm the same. I think it's that, like, I'm super critical of like our own stuff when we play live, when I write anything, when I record anything. I hate it. I hate recording. Like I love playing, love writing stuff. That's great. As soon as you hit record, shit, horrific. And I'll play it back, and like there'll be a tiny little bit where I've like bent a note the tiniest bit, like, put it in a bin, try it again. And I'll go, it takes me so long. I get so overly like finicky about everything. And I do that about this songwriting stuff as well. And when we were going back and forth with Jonathan, who's mixed and produced all the new stuff, we'd be on Audio Movers. I don't know whether you've ever used it. We'd be on that, and we'd just be constantly going over stuff because I struggle to like leave stuff alone. You know, like I'll write it, I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, oh well, I could do this and this and this and this and this and this, and I just like at some point I have to let go. I'm like, right, that's it. I need to stop, else I'll drive myself crazy. But yeah, I stress myself out thinking that I won't ever be able to write something as good as I did before, and then it just happens. Like it always just eventually it happens. Usually, but there's I thankfully, like A Rising Empire, like our label, because I basically wrote the second album twice. Like I'd written it and it was almost Purify Part 2. It was all like metalcore, like some sick riffs that have just gone in a bin that no one's ever going to hear, which really makes me sad. But there was loads of these songs, but they were good songs. Like, don't get me wrong, they were good songs. But there was like one or two, one of them which being Fade to Black, that just had this other vibe that was just like, oh, that's just like a few steps above what the rest of them were. And us, the label, our manager was like, I think you should write more music like that, because there's some elements in that just not many people are doing. And we were like, like, because you can write some really good songs. Like, you've seen it a million times. There'll be some bands that are like sick live. They've got really well written songs, but they're just a bit samey. Like, there's nothing like really overly out of the ordinary. And that's what's going to set you apart from other people. You have to find that unique quality that's going to set you apart from other people. Else you're just going to get lost in the shuffle all the time. Which is hard to accept, because you might write some like absolute banger songs, and like you say, you put them up and you just won't get the plot of the Spotify listings, you won't get this. But the songs are banging. Like songwriting, everything, production, great. And then you'll hear some other ones that are like mixed like trash, but they're just a bit out there and obscure, and they just seem to go really well. You're like, well, I don't understand. My songwriting brain doesn't comprehend this nonsense, but yeah, it was hard because I just put all those songs in a bin and then rewrote the whole thing with much more of a electronic influence and stuff like that, which was nice, because it was, for a long time we were just a metalcore band. Not to say just a metalcore band, we were a metalcore band, like a tech metal band and what. And now, because of what they told us, and they gave me all this time where they were like, we don't care how long it takes. I know, like, they've just given us this money to do it, but they're like, we want it to be right. And they knew that creative aspects and things like that are not, for a lot of people, I know there are some people that can just churn out bangers left, right, and center all day, every day. But the average person just can't do that. And they understood that it would take time to do it, because they know that you might write 8 songs in a row that just don't hit, and you'll be like, oh, it's just not doing it. It's not doing it for me. And then you end up, you get that one, and you get that ball rolling, and a few might come out. But yeah, there's no way to. It's not like a business thing where you're like, oh, I'm going to write. Oh, I book it in for Wednesday afternoon. Write banger. It just doesn't work like that. If your brain isn't there, you can't force that inspiration out. You can force some songs out, but they're just not going to be to the level that you would want them to be. But yeah, the label was super, super kind, super supportive of us, and gave us all the time we needed until we all were happy with it. So
yeah, and it's a smart, I mean, like, that label decision, it's a smart business decision as well, isn't it? Like, as much as it's the empathetic thing to do, it's like, well, that's kind of why it is a smart business decision, because if they just said to you, now, come on, just give us the songs, you can write the next one, whatever, like, you know, you might have ended up with a decent album still, but, you know, you probably wouldn't be as happy putting that out there. And actually the fact that they've said, you know, we like this kind of thing you've done, but they've given you the time. They've not been like, okay, we like that, do all of that again now.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, right, yeah.
It's like, take your time to like that, because that's good. That sounds like quite a positive kind of relationship. How's kind of being with a label affected your processes, you know, pre and post sort of label? Has that changed how you think about writing songs and stuff? You kind of already answered it somewhat, but
not really. It's our songs have, like, just purely through me, because I've wanted them to be more. All our old songs were like 5 minutes long or something, and like on the new album, no song is longer than like 3 minutes. One of them's like 2 minutes long, and they're all like super short, snappy, like as if you're like, why would you? When you listen to pop songs, they've not got loads of extra crap in them. Like, I'm not saying it's crap, but like extra sections in them. If you were gonna make a radio edit and cut out those sections, why would they be in it in the first place? Like, it was just like this weird revelation to me. I was like, well, it's cool having these extra bits, but like, yeah, if they're not needing enough to be in a radio edit, then I don't think they should need to be in a song. And like, I think I came at it from a different perspective like that. But yeah, it was just a different kind of writing. But like the last label we were on, Long Branch, they were super supportive, really nice. They were brutal. Like, they were like, when we, like, if they didn't like something, they would tell you straight away. But yeah, Florian, who was our rep, he left there and they were going in a different direction. So left amicably, like there was no bad blood, nothing bad between us or anything like that. But yeah, Arising have just been just above and beyond what we have ever experienced from a label before. Just that supportive. And I know it is a business. Like at the end of the day, they're running a business that's about money, but they come at it from a much more artistic side, where they know that it's going to take time. They know that it's not some weird formula that you can just bang out all these things from super snappy. But yeah, they've I can't say anything but nice things about them. They've been absolutely amazing for us.
Yeah. I think the thing that I sort of would struggle with is if there was any pressure to write pressure, like as in if there were pressure to write something for a goal or for a specific reason. How like bands are kind of writing for TikTok now, and it's just like obviously it's probably a bit less prevalent in metal, when you look at kind of just the sort of appeal that it has. But for me, like, writing is meant to be an expression of who you are and what you think and feel and everything. So for someone to tread on that, for me, it's quite invasive, and kind of that would really hurt me as a musician, feeling like I was just writing for a purpose, because that's kind of not for me. The purpose of writing is to take what's in here and in my head for anyone listening, and put it make it into an MP3 file that one can download.
Well, yeah, absolutely. All of our old songs were more like concept songs, and they're like I don't know, just like weird fantasy things that Geordie would want to sing about, or like the end of the world, just like, generic, like end of the world, like shit. And then I've always pushed I wanted more personal things, but I think, because I'm willing, I'll tell anyone like anything about me. I don't know, I'm a bit too open sometimes. But Geordie's much more of a closed book, so he doesn't want people knowing all of his shit. I really pushed on this new album for everything. Just all the songs are about us, like as people, and our experiences, and they're much more direct and just much more raw in the way that we wrote the lyrics about what kind of things that we're writing about. So we're much more attached to these songs. But yeah, we didn't write anything with the thought of, like, I think writing purely for TikTok, especially for metal, just isn't, I don't know, I think it just devalues the songs for me. But we do, like, once you've written them all, then we will go through and be like, oh, I think you could do something with that, or do something with that. But the music has to come first.
Yeah.
As like the art expression of what we're feeling, and get that out into a piece of music. And then afterwards you can be like, oh, I think we could do something with that and that and that and that, rather than the other way around. Obviously, songs would just sound mental. Or you like, I see loads of them on TikTok that I know the song, I'm like, oh yeah, sick, this bit is sick. And then I listen to the full song, I'm like, it's trash. The first 30 seconds is sick, and the rest of it is garbage. What? I don't understand. Yeah, I've heard too many of those. But yeah, it's just a fact that we have to get on TikTok. Like, we'll
be on TikTok on this podcast at some point.
Yeah,
so there you go.
Yeah, there's no avoiding it anymore. Like I didn't want us to do it for a while. Was kind of not like fully against TikTok and stuff like that. Just like I don't know. I thought bands on TikTok looked a bit lame to start with, and then like a few people have broke through doing it and like blown up, and then you're like, oh, you can't deny it anymore. You can't deny the power that it has. Like, you might not have many views or likes on your videos for like a while, but it literally just takes like one good video, like bang, overnight, you've jumped up 10 rungs of the ladder, and you're playing way bigger shows and selling loads more merch and loads more Spotify listeners and getting paid more being less poor on tour, which is the real aim. I don't care about the rest. I just wish I wasn't quite as poor when we're out on the road. But
yeah, I know so what I do with the podcast is I upload pretty much every day. I upload a reel from. I do like 2 or 3 from each podcast. It depends how it is, because some people are just more clippable than others, you know. So it depends. I'll try and some people. I'm so happy if I'm listening through a podcast and there's just like a 30 to 40 second thing they say, and I can go, yes, I can just go. Take that. But I'll edit little bits together and stuff, and I put it out on TikTok, and I do Instagram reels. I need to start doing them on YouTube Shorts as well, because I think that's worth doing. It's just so much effort uploading the same video 3 times, and my phone's pretty slow now. It's like I'm literally just entering the lottery every time, basically. So with TikTok, it will. I've not got many followers on TikTok. I think I've only got about 60 on TikTok or something like that. But they're all organic, to be fair. None of my friends followed me on TikTok. It's like me, it's the podcast, so it's not, but I think maybe 2 did or something. So I've just been posting into
the abyss, hoping that,
basically. I heard a really funny comedy bit about it's always dads that just post on Twitter with 0 followers, just expecting something to
something will materialize eventually.
But Twitter dads, but anyway, I'm kind of like that in that. But I know with TikTok, it will almost religiously, my videos will get 220-ish views. I have 60 followers, and most of it won't be them. But then the odd few get there's a few with 600, and there's one with 1,000. There's one with 2,500. So it's just about finding that. You just got to keep. Because I like to think what I'm posting is hopefully useful content for people.
Yeah.
By useful, I don't mean useful as in just like a tool is useful. I mean useful as in people enjoy taking in information. Because I hope that the conversation we're having, people will take something from that. We talked about things like mental health or the sort of realities of being a touring musician. Which I think there are loads of people out there that can relate to that. But yeah, it does feel like entering the lottery every time you post. Some Instagram reels do absolutely trash. I've had a few do 4,000 or 5,000 views, and then a few literally get 20. And what is? And the annoying thing is, what it does is, I don't know if you've seen this, but Instagram will sometimes, I'll put a reel up, and it will just in the first few minutes, it will get 1,000 views or 2,000 views, and it will decide clearly. I think what's happening is it's deciding in those few thousand views if what I've posted is share worthy. The annoying thing is it will always post. There's no sort of way around it. Some of the reels I post are more interesting than others. From there might be one guest that has a couple of really interesting reels, and then one where it's cool, but it's not necessarily got a massive interest to loads of people. But it will always take the ones that I don't think maybe are quite as interesting as the others. Push them out for the 1,000 views, but then it'll go, well, he's not very interesting, so it won't share it. I'm like, oh, great.
That first hour though, you'll be on a right high. I'm like, oh my god, it's gonna go viral. Got 1,000 in
honestly,
the first.
I've been let down so many times. I'm just hoping. I remember I literally saw it happen with a reel not so long ago, where I was I posted 3 clips from this guy's podcast, and the third one, I thought if I had to rate them in terms of interest out of the 3, I thought the last one I kind of posted was probably the least interesting of the 3. They're also worth. I wouldn't post it if I didn't think it was not worth listening. And then of course that one just got bumped. I could see the views going up a bit quicker. And I was just why can you not have picked the first 2? It's even from the same guy. It's not like I'm saying one person's more interesting than the other. And it was just sorry, I'm just ranting about the internet now. But yeah, I think I quite admire, going back to a hopefully more useful topic. I quite admired, like I said, through the deep dive of your Instagram, not the stalking, the outside observation. That just sounds like a euphemism.
If you say so, yeah. It doesn't sound any better.
Yeah. Phrase it however you like. I did think it was quite admirable how you would. I saw you would share things about things you were finding difficult one week, or these kind of things, and it makes it a bit more real for people. There'll probably plenty of people, even maybe in your immediate sphere of influence, that might see you playing guitar and playing in a band and think that's so cool. I don't do anything cool like that, and it's cool that. If you can be real with people about, if you're having a rough week or something, it's good because it allows people, the people who might be scrolling through all these amazing clips of brilliant things happening on TikTok, and then seeing a moment of someone just being honest and raw about, I'm having a shit week, you know. And I think it's like it's good that hopefully people can relate to that, you know, in some way. And I don't think there's so much of that around, that kind of honesty, not just being honest in terms of like, you know, not using filters, or when you come to guitar playing, you get some people with some, let's call it augmented guitar playing.
Yeah.
It's nice to see being sort of emotionally real about where you're at with things. And I think it's particularly inspiring when you see, especially when you see some artists, some, you know, ones with big followings, when they can be honest about that stuff. I think it's really important as well. Is there any kind of process behind when you feel like you want to share something like that? What's the kind of thought process there? I'm sorry if it's getting too personal. I was just
no. I do think it's important that, like, because everyone online, especially like Instagram's horrendous for it. Everyone wants to show this perception of what they're like, and I know I'm also guilty for that, and I definitely have like almost like a character, especially like, you know, when you're on stage and you have that character version of yourself, you up to 11, that really intense dude. And I also have the character when I'm on tour, because not that I'm saying like I couldn't have a bad day on tour and stuff like that. But it's just I know, like, if everyone is making a conscious effort to be positive, then it rubs off on other people. And like that's what I found, like this tour. I know I've had some times when I've been like, oh, I'm so like anxious about stuff, and I'm like, but the positivity of all of Dropout Kings and the rest of the Borders guys and stuff like that is what keeps you going. But yeah, there's also the times when you played this show and you've had this almost facade on, because no one wants to go up to merch and speak to you when you're like, if I was in a really bad way and I was stood on merch and someone came up and I was like, oh, I just don't want to be here. Like, if I actually said that, it'd be horrible. Like, they're not going to want to come back. They're not going to have a good time. And like, they've paid to see this show. They've come to watch you. And they deserve that from you. I think anyway. If you come to a show, I'm always going to speak to anyone and make that effort with people. But yeah, there's also that bit afterwards where there's that come down from it where I'm like, my social battery's like died at like 3 p.m. And you just had to push through until the end. And then you laid in some crappy hotel or hostel somewhere. And you're just like, oh, I feel awful. And yeah, like I think it's important to show both sides of that, because yeah, like when you're out on the outside looking in, you look at all these other bands and you're like, oh my god, they're having such a good time on tour, because no one's going to post a bad picture from tour. It's always the good ones. So everyone's posting all this because, oh my god, their life must be so amazing. And not that I'm saying it's not. Some people might just have that. Some people might just be happy all the time. But I think it's important, because a lot of people do struggle with stuff. Like, why would you not talk about it on the internet? There's nothing to be ashamed of talking about it. And I'm not ashamed of talking about it. I was saying about depression or anxiety or whatever. Like I struggle a lot, but it's finding that balance of, because I don't want to post like every day. I'm like, oh, it's bad again. I don't want to do that. But yeah, I think it's important to, I don't know, just let people know how you're feeling sometimes and not be scared of what people are going to think. People aren't going to be like, oh, well, his guitarist is shit now. Probably cried all over his guitar strings when he was playing that. No one's going to fucking say that. No one gives a shit about that. And yeah, I gravitate to other people and other bands and stuff like that when they are genuine and they are like open about that kind of thing. Just that, I don't know, I like, it's that connection that, like, obviously you want with fans, but like, it's that connection that I build with other bands when I listen to music and things like that. Because yeah, you don't want to be like tricked into some emotion or whatever. Like, if you can tell when it's genuine. And yeah, I just I think everyone should be open about things. Like, for a long time I didn't like posting that much online. Because I thought it would like almost hurt the band, or like hurt the image that was around the band or whatever. Like, oh, you're all like this serious musician and blah blah. Like, you couldn't post anything like that. But yeah, the last few years, especially, just took the filter off. Just was like, cool that we do some cool stuff, but we're not a big band. There's like, I also have a life outside of playing guitar and going on tour, and sometimes that's just not that great. straight as like, but yeah, I think it's important that everyone talks about it and isn't scared of talking about it, because I know a lot of people are scared of the perception, or like, and I used to be worried about being treated different, like almost be like, I didn't want people to what's an expression, like mollycoddle you, or like try and wrap you in cotton wool. I'm like, oh my god, I hate that idea of people treating me different, or like trying to compensate for me. I don't want that. I want you to treat me like a fucking normal person, regardless of, like, I will deal with my stuff. You don't have to treat me any different. But yeah, like just having it out there and being open to talking about it with other people. I know a lot of people, like loads of people that I probably would have never spoken to before, like from bands, like especially through lockdown. Some people would see those statuses or those posts and whatever, and they would message me and like say that they were going through a similar thing, and then we would talk to each other like on a regular basis. I mean, it's like I'd still do with some of them. It's not like you having to check in on them every day. Oh my god! But just like every now and again, you just pop up like, "Hey, how you been? How you doing?" And that's just nice. And yeah, I like that those people came to me after some of those posts that you spoke about, and felt like they could speak to me and like confide in me about stuff. Cause yeah, like I like the thing about playing music in front of people and getting that reaction and making them feel good, and like that community vibe, and like it's almost like you get that same thing, like just helping people and doing nice things for people. That's that same thing. Playing music in front of people and making people enjoy themselves is doing a nice thing for them. I know it's selfish as well, like, but it's nice to do things for other people and help them. I think, there was a lot of people that I have spoken to over those posts that, I'm really happy that they spoke to me. Yeah,
it's well, I mean, so let's wrap up. I mean, that's a positive. That's like I don't want to say wrap up on a positive note as if that wasn't, because it's what you're saying is positive in terms of that. It's a bit heavy, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So
on a lighter note. There's a couple. I had two questions. Forgot one of them, but first one was I was going to say what. Oh yeah, I remember now. So just quickly, what was it like playing Download? And then also the other question is, you talked about all these riffs you had to bin, or not bin, but like that didn't make it.
Yeah.
If you can describe to me in the best way you can, riff number one that didn't make it, what? How was that?
If we went back to like dick measuring contest, you know that puzzle, that the meme puzzle of the big black dude where it's like blurred out and it's like it's like that's what that riff is. That's the riff. But the riff is just an unmade puzzle in a bin now.
Oh no! Is that ever gonna?
I don't know. I've tried to shoehorn a few old riffs in, just like, I'll sneak that bit in there, and it's just I don't know about you. When I'm writing new stuff, I want it. I want it to be new and fresh to me as well.
Yeah.
I might steal like a few ideas from like old riffs and little motifs or like little ideas and stuff, but I will try and, I don't know, I might bring them back. I don't know. I'm saying this, but now I'm thinking about those riffs. You made me think about all these old riffs that I miss.
I always
and I'm just going to shoehorn them in.
Yeah, I feel I know what you mean. Sometimes you mean sitting on something for so long. It's like it's not even you don't think it's good. It's just like you it just doesn't feel like where your head's at.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so and then also, how was I get what you mean, to be fair. But how was where does Download rank in like the list of sort of band achievements, and how was it?
Well, like I put a status up on my Facebook about me and Dan, the drummer. We went to school together. Like the first jams that I had with anyone in my entire life was with him. Like in his bedroom at his parents' house in Hayington. That's near Lincoln, if anyone knows where Hayington is. We're doing like Kill Switch Engage covers, and I was on like a Les Paul copy. He's on an electric kit, and we're playing like Slipknot, like doing all this stuff. Literally with like two of our friends just sat on his bed as if it was a show. Like, it was so lame. But yeah, we went to college together and stuff like that, and started playing in bands when we were like 17, 18 together. And we went to Download 2011. That was the first time I ever went to Download, and it was with him. You know, like when you're younger and you're really hungry for bands, but like you might be a bit naive. And we were like, we're definitely going to play Download. We're definitely like one day we'll play this. We'll play this, absolutely. And then like the further down the line you go, you know how hard it actually is, because you know how many bands are also trying to play Download. You're like, how are we ever going to break through that? There's millions of bands that want to play it. But yeah, like that's probably the proudest moment that I've had, like musically, just because we just said together, like as teenagers, that like one day, even if we just play it once, just once, don't care what stage it is, whether it's a takeover stage or like whatever that we were doing, or when Red Bull Bedroom Jam was a thing, or if we were going to do that, or any of those, like don't care at what level it is, as like just to say that we played fucking Download Festival would be like absolutely top tier achievement for us. Like if the band ended tomorrow, like I don't think any of us would be like, oh, I'm so we didn't achieve anything, like because there's millions of people that would want to play Download that might never play Download, but we have. So it was the most hyped I've ever been for a show. I think all of us. Geordie doesn't drink anymore, but he used to drink like a little bit before we would play because it would settle him down because he's anxious as well. And he didn't, and so we'd been waiting all day to play because we didn't want to be late, so we turned up mega early. So we're all parked and we're like, right, we've got like 4 hours to go. Here we go. Right, we got and it was just a line check, but we've got a 20-minute line check. We're like, cool, but all of our stuff's just DIs. It's all labeled up. You just whack it in, crank it up. They do a bit of EQ. It's fine. But Geordie is the worst for it. Every time it's like just at the start of a sound check, like, oh, I really need a piss. Can I just go for a piss? I'm like, no, you've had 4 hours to go and piss. Do not go and piss now. Like, do a sound check. It's fucking Download. Why are you not doing a sound check? Like, are you mental? What's wrong with you? And he's like, no, I really need to go. And he just toddled off for the whole sound check to the point where we were about to play and he wasn't there.
Yeah.
And I was freaking out. Like, I checked everything, checked his mic and stuff, but he wasn't there. And I was literally stood and we were being told to start. And I was like, I could see him walking up and I had to start the backing track. And he walked up and I was so mad. I was like, why the fuck? Of all sound checks to just not go to Download, why would you do that? And it turned out he was just being violently sick in a Portaloo before it because he was so nervous. But when he walked on, I was really angry. And then afterwards, he was like, yeah, I was being really sick. And I was like, oh, well, fair enough. I forgive you.
I weirdly, because we played Bloodstock Festival last year, and I was like, I really wasn't that nervous, and I'm not. I don't normally get nervous anyway, but I was like, weirdly, like the guys in the band were a little bit nervous, but I was kind of weirdly okay. And like I remember, as soon as I was a bit nervous immediately before stage, but as soon as we did line check and I could hear my guitar go out of the I was like, I'm fine. Like, because now it's just on me. It's just as long as I play it. Yeah, I mean, something could break, I guess. But like, I had a spare guitar. ultimately they had spare amps there as well. So it's like if my amp, even if my amp broke, I could use something else. So I was just kind of like, as long as I've got sound, in terms of me, I'm fine. And I just felt quite calm in that moment. I was just like, okay, well, it's just another gig now, which, yeah, it was really cool. So yeah, but no, I well, that's a good story to end on, to be fair. But I need you to ask a question for the next guest to start the conversation, and I also need you to plug an up-and-coming or underappreciated artist, musician, industry person, whatever.
I'm gonna say Sertraline, because we played with him a good few times back when Lizzie was in the band, and now she's gone off.
Before.
And she's doing a thing, doing great things. But they were on the Download takeover, and we camped with them at Tech Fest, and like they're a band that we've been like around for a good few years, and like we'd be pally, like we were fine, but we weren't like really like super pally. We weren't like hang out outside of shows and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, they've rapidly become one of our go-to bands now. And like we're playing in Manchester tomorrow, and Ben's putting us, we're sleeping at the house, and like they're being so kind. And yeah, they're changing up their sound a bit now as well. Because obviously like Lizzie was an amazing vocalist, like, and just chopping her out and putting someone else in doing exactly the same thing, everyone's always going to make that comparison. Like it's really hard not to. It's like really, really hard not to. But yeah, they're really, really sound dudes, super tight. They're top chaps.
Nice. So good question then to start conversation.
Purely because I do really embarrassing stuff all the time when we play shows. What's the most embarrassing thing you've done whilst on stage?
Awesome. That's I like that. Awesome. And then do you have anything you want to sort of plug to the world, a message for the world, or a bit of a band plug, whatever you want to do?
Not really. I just hope everyone has a good day, good time, enjoys their lives. It's what's important.
Wicked. Check out Borders anyway. Yeah,
no worries. Thanks, man.
Thank you, man.
Thanks.